It has been almost 4 years since tragedy struck the Iskander family in the form of a Mercedes SUV going 81 miles an hour. Nancy Iskander was in a crosswalk west of LA with 3 of her 4 children. She managed to grab the youngest, then 5 years old, and jump out of the way, but 8-year-old Jacob and 11-year-old Mark were both hit, and both of them were killed. And actually, there were 2 speeding SUVs. The one that ran down the little brothers, that was driven by a socialite philanthropist named Rebecca Grossman. The second SUV was driven by Grossman's married boyfriend, a former big league pitcher named Scott Erickson. The 2 had just come from cocktail hour at a nearby restaurant and were either racing or chasing each other down the winding suburban roads. Grossman was convicted this year of murder, vehicular manslaughter, and hit and run resulting in death. And this week, she was sentenced 15 years to life, even though prosecutors had recommended 34 years to life. In court for the first time, Rebecca Grossman addressed the mom of those 2 little children directly, using the word sorry at least 5 times. But for her part, that mom, Nancy Iskander, called Grossman a coward and called the sentence a stab in the heart. That mom, Nancy Iskander, joins me now live for her first national TV interview. Nancy, thank you so much for being on. And first of all, can I just send my condolences and the condolences of my entire team to you. I cannot imagine what you have endured and what you continue to endure. What is your reaction overall to the sentence that Nancy Grossman got? Rebecca Grossman.
So Mrs. Grossman was convicted of murder, and she convicted of murder of double murder, right? So 2 counts of murder, taking the lives of Mark Iskander and taking the life of Jacob Iskander. That was very clear that she took 2 lives, and the judge has decided to sentence her to serve for only 1 life. He counted both boys as 2 for 1. And as a parent, it's been very hard for me to accept because they were 2. I promise they were 2. And I saw Mark, gone on the road that night. He had already passed when I had the few minutes for me to walk and find him. And Jacob had to get CPR on the road, and we had to go to the hospital, and we spent a few hours watching him taking his last breath. And for these 2 horrific traumas, as well as the loss of the 2 brothers on the heart of their little one, Zachary, is just not equivalent. The sentence is just not equivalent to the loss at all. These are lives that were taken away, and had she gotten the 34, it's still not equivalent, but at least it's the law. At least it's 15 for each. To me, that's how I feel about it.
Let me ask you, at sentencing, Rebecca Grossman got up to speak and wanted to address you, and you got up to leave, and then she begged you to stay, and you did. Tell me about what you went through listening to her words.
So I'll tell you first why I got up and I didn't want to listen to what she was about to say, because from all my encounters with her before, it was either something very hateful she'll say to me or something not sincere and not from the heart. So I didn't want to hear it again. But when she begged me to stay, I went back to my seat and I gave her the opportunity to speak to me, and it was exactly what I expected. She was not remorseful. She said sorry a few times, like you said. That's true, Ashleigh. But she said sorry for your loss. She said, I'm sorry for what happened to you. And that to me is not an apology. If any, it hurts even further, because she needs to acknowledge she killed him. She is the murderer, and she has to be sorry for it. So yeah, that's how it felt. It did not feel sincere.
I'm curious, you just mentioned that in all the times that she spoke before court to you, that she had said hateful things. Tell me about that. What had she said to you in the past?
No, I said in all my encounters with her. So I've been seeing her for 4 years as I'm fighting for justice for the boys, and I've seen her in court, almost every time I was there. And she's always looking me in the eye, looking me up and down, her family doing the same. Her family at some point would laugh if I cry in court when they talk about evidence or how the boys were found. If I cry, her husband would laugh. So I've seen lots of hate from them. And lastly, it was a letter she sent me when she was incarcerated. And the letter was very offensive in the sense that it was all about her tragedies in life, whatever happened to her when she was a young kid, or her, health issues that she faced after that. And it wasn't a letter to me or about what happened. It was about her suffering in life, and as if Mark and Jacob dying was just one more thing to add to her suffering in life. And that to me is just so unfair that she sees it this way.
Can I ask you what you have to say to the judge, Judge Joseph Brandolino? He said these words about Grossman. He said her actions were reckless, but she's not a monster, as the prosecution attempts to portray her. What do you have to say to the judge about that?
I say, he also said, I remind him that he also said that she acted so selfishly after the collision. Because after the collision, she escaped. And had it not been for her car stopping, she would have been in her garage. That's what she said at the hospital when they arrested her. She said, I would have been in my garage had it not been my car stopping. So I'd remind him, you said she was very selfish. Hit and run is not easy on the victim because I had to wait there on the road not knowing who did that. And I really wasn't sure they will ever catch them because the car was so fast. But so for him to say and use the word very selfish and kind of acknowledge that she didn't mind putting my family through more sorrow and bringing me back to that courtroom 4 years, almost 4 years, to get justice, and hiring attorney after attorney. She had 17 attorneys to question me and grill me on the stand and make up stories and say lies. That is more than selfish. That is really unkind, and that is someone who does not care for the pain of others, and she's just all she cares is to get away with it. That was the whole goal and purpose. And I would be disappointed to hear if Mr. Brandolino believed her tears.
I think people don't realize that you have to go through all of that. You're up on the stand as well. You're not just in the gallery waiting for justice. You're part of it, and you're grilled and you're challenged, all the while mourning Mark and Jacob. Nancy, thank you so much for being on tonight. Again, all of our condolences go to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.